Prince William is going to be an extraordinary king for this country, a king we need to bring Britain back together, to actually have the authority to rule with such vigour and energy, and to slim down and modernise the monarchy.
The hallways of Buckingham Palace have always kept secrets, but none like this one. Behind the golden doors and centuries-old paintings, a silent revolution was taking shape, one that would shake the very foundations of the British monarchy. October 24th, 2025, didn't begin like any ordinary day in royal history. Prince William, now holding the complete weight of royal power in his hands, wasn't going to follow the old playbook.
Our new Prince and Princess of Wales will, I know, continue to inspire and lead our national conversations, helping to bring the marginal to the centre ground, where vital help can be given.
While the world expected a smooth, ceremonial handover of authority, something far more explosive was building beneath the surface. Queen Camilla, who had spent years carefully positioning herself and her family within the royal structure, suddenly found her influence under attack. The first strike came quickly, quietly, and with surgical precision. But here's the question everyone is asking. Was this always William's plan, or did Camilla's own actions force his hand? Stay with us as we pull back the curtain on the most dramatic power shift the House of Windsor has seen in decades, a story of ambition, legacy, and a prince who decided enough was enough. The moment everything shifted. King Charles's announcement on October 17th sent waves across the United Kingdom and beyond. His eldest son would take on full royal responsibility within days, effective October 23rd. The transition was meant to be ceremonial, dignified, and peaceful. Royal commentators predicted business as usual, a young prince stepping into his father's shadow while keeping things the same. Nobody expected what happened next. Just hours after the official handover, Prince William called a meeting that would become legendary in palace history. Senior advisors, constitutional experts, and a handful of trusted family members gathered at Windsor Castle. The atmosphere was tense, but charged with energy. William stood before them, not as a prince waiting for his turn, but as a leader ready to claim his moment. His message was clear and firm. The monarchy needed immediate reform, not in decades to come, but starting right now.
So those of you who are sitting there thinking, oh, I might get involved next year, you need to be involved now, because this won't be around. And the change that's happening is designed deliberately to be a finite period.
The plan he revealed became known as the Windsor Reset, a complete overhaul touching every part of royal operations, cutting down working royals to a small core team focused purely on public service. Complete audit of royal patronages, getting rid of those that existed only for show. Serious budget cuts on travel, wardrobe, and household expenses. Most controversially, an end to privileges given to non-bloodline family members. That last point landed like a bomb, because everyone in that room knew exactly who it targeted: Queen Camilla's children and her extended circle. For years, Camilla had quietly expanded her family's presence within royal functions. Her son, Tom Parker Bowles, and daughter Laura Lopes had begun appearing at high-profile events, receiving invitations that blurred the line between courtesy and official status. Funding for their security, travel arrangements, and public appearances had grown steadily since Charles took the throne. They weren't working royals in the traditional sense, but they were certainly benefiting from royal resources. William's reforms put an immediate stop to all of it. Within 48 hours, funding was cut. Invitations were pulled back. The message was unmistakable. If you don't serve the crown through constitutional duty, you don't represent it at public expense. The decision was framed as financial responsibility and transparency, but everyone understood the deeper meaning. This was William drawing a line in the sand, defining who truly belonged in the modern monarchy and who didn't. Princess Anne, the royal family's hardest worker,
There are a number of traits which bind the royal family together: a hard-working commitment to public service, stoic leadership, and steadfastness in the face of adversity.
reportedly stood and clapped when she heard the news. She had spent decades fulfilling more engagements than almost any other royal, often without fanfare or recognition. The idea of streamlining the monarchy around genuine service rather than ceremonial excess resonated deeply with her. In a private conversation later, she told William something that would fuel his determination for months to come. "Your grandmother would be proud. Your mother would be prouder. Stay the course." But not everyone shared Anne's enthusiasm. The Duke of Gloucester, representing the older, more traditional wing of the family, expressed concern about what he called slimming too thin. Other aristocratic voices, longtime friends of Camilla, began circulating private letters warning of the dangers of radical change. They argued that the monarchy's strength lay in its continuity, its connection to centuries of tradition. Cutting away too much, they claimed, risked severing the crown from its historical roots. Camilla's counterattack. Queen Camilla's reaction to the Windsor reset wasn't immediate, but when it came, it was fierce. Those close to her described a woman who felt betrayed, disrespected, and cornered. She had spent years rebuilding her public image, transforming from the controversial figure blamed for Charles and Diana's divorce into a respectable queen consort. Now, in her view, William was systematically tearing down everything she had built. The first blow came when several of her cherished patronages were placed under review. Camilla had developed relationships with literary societies, equestrian organizations, and women's charities.
The Queen Consort has visited the UK's largest national charity dedicated to osteoporosis, opening their new office in Bath. Camilla has been an advocate of the Royal Osteoporosis Society, raising awareness for the risks related to osteoporosis since '94.
These weren't just ceremonial positions to her, they represented her legacy, her contribution to the crown. When William's team announced that all patronages would need to show measurable impact or face discontinuation, Camilla saw it as a personal attack disguised as policy. Then came the budget cuts. Her office expenses were slashed significantly. Events she traditionally hosted were reallocated or canceled entirely. Her staff was reduced. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. Her influence was being systematically curtailed. Friends and supporters rallied around her, but the palace machinery had already shifted loyalty. William controlled the purse strings now, and he wasn't sentimental about how he used that power. What truly ignited Camilla's anger, however, was the treatment of her children. Tom and Laura had never asked to be thrust into the royal spotlight, but once there, they had embraced certain opportunities. Now those doors were slamming shut, and Camilla interpreted it as a deliberate humiliation. In a heated private exchange that later leaked to the press, she reportedly confronted William directly. Her words, raw and unfiltered, accused him of cruelty. "You wouldn't do this if I were your real mother." The comment cut deep, not just for its emotional manipulation, but for what it implied about William's relationship with his late mother, Diana. William, by all accounts, remained calm. His response was measured but firm. This has never been personal. It's structural. The crown must evolve. Yet the damage was done. That single exchange crystallized the conflict. This wasn't just about budgets and titles anymore. It had become deeply, painfully personal. Camilla didn't retreat quietly. Instead, she began mobilizing her own network of supporters. The Privy Circle, as insiders dubbed it, consisted of aristocratic allies, sympathetic parliamentarians, and traditionalist royals who viewed William's reforms as dangerous overreach. Lord Alton of Belgrave, a longtime friend, began coordinating efforts to push back against the changes. Private dinners were held, discreet letters drafted, meetings arranged with key figures in the House of Lords. The most damaging moment came during one such gathering. Camilla, believing she was among trusted confidants, made remarks that would soon leak and cause a media storm.
7 years later, she expanded her efforts and became involved with Safe Lives, where she has interacted with survivors and families. In 2024, Camilla participated in a documentary to raise awareness of the topic.
She allegedly criticized not just William's policies but his character, suggesting his coldness stemmed from growing up without proper maternal guidance. The insinuation was clear and cruel. Diana's absence had left William emotionally damaged, incapable of true compassion. When those words reached the press, public reaction was swift and unforgiving. Social media erupted with outrage. Diana's legacy remained sacred to millions, and any perceived attack on her memory or her son triggered fierce protective instincts. Hashtags supporting William trended globally. Opinion polls showed Camilla's approval ratings dropping overnight. Even staunch monarchists who had warmed to her over the years felt she had crossed a line. Catherine's quiet revolution. While William led the charge with bold policy moves, Princess Catherine worked behind the scenes to ensure the reforms had substance beyond symbolism. Her role in the Windsor reset often went underreported, but those inside the palace knew the truth. Catherine was the architect of the monarchy's new moral foundation. She had spent years developing the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood, using data and research to drive meaningful change rather than relying on photo opportunities and ribbon cuttings. Now she applied that same approach to the entire royal patronage system. Catherine championed what she called the Royal Social Impact Index, a framework requiring every charity associated with the crown to demonstrate measurable outcomes. It was revolutionary thinking for an institution built on tradition rather than metrics. No longer would patronages be granted based on historical precedent or aristocratic connections. Instead, organizations would need to show evidence of real-world impact. Lives changed, communities strengthened, problems solved. Catherine personally reviewed dozens of applications, asking tough questions and demanding transparency.
She is one of the most recognizable women in the world. A fashion icon, a champion of charitable causes, and a princess. A wife and mother of future kings.
The approach resonated powerfully with younger Britons who had grown skeptical about the monarchy's relevance. Suddenly, the royal family wasn't just waving from balconies. They were partnering with organizations making tangible differences in people's lives. Youth groups, mental health charities, environmental initiatives, and educational programs found themselves with unprecedented royal support, provided they could prove their effectiveness. Catherine's work also served a strategic purpose. By building a portfolio of high-impact patronages, she was creating a blueprint for the future monarchy, one rooted in service rather than spectacle. It was a direct challenge to the old model, where royal association was the reward itself, regardless of actual outcomes. And though she never mentioned Camilla by name, the contrast was obvious. While Camilla fought to preserve symbolic roles and ceremonial traditions, Catherine was proving that modern royalty demanded more. Her public speeches during this period struck a careful balance between respect for the past and excitement for the future. She spoke often of Queen Elizabeth's sense of duty and Princess Diana's capacity for empathy, framing the Windsor reset as a natural evolution rather than a radical departure. The messaging was brilliant. William and Catherine weren't tearing down the monarchy. They were fulfilling its true purpose.
Prince William is now the heir apparent. He's next, and before that, obviously, there was one extra layer there. So he's that much closer to the throne himself.
Behind closed doors, Catherine also played peacemaker when tensions threatened to explode completely. She maintained cordial relationships with family members on both sides of the divide, refusing to let personal animosity derail the larger mission. When Camilla's supporters accused William of cold pragmatism, Catherine's warmth and evident compassion provided crucial balance. She was, in many ways, the human face of reform, proof that modernization didn't require abandoning kindness. The public takes sides. As the battle between William's reformers and Camilla's traditionalists intensified, the British public became increasingly engaged observers. This wasn't a distant palace drama anymore. It was a debate about national identity, the role of institutions, and what kind of monarchy the 21st century demanded. Polling data told a clear story. Within days of the Windsor Reset announcement, approval ratings for William and Catherine soared to levels not seen since the early years of Queen Elizabeth's reign. 73% of respondents supported the reforms, with even higher numbers among younger demographics. People appreciated the transparency, the focus on measurable service, and the clear vision for the future. Social media became the battlefield where public opinion took shape. Hashtags like Modern Crown and Diana's Legacy Continues trended for weeks. Videos of William's speeches were shared millions of times, with particular attention paid to his emphasis on earning public trust rather than inheriting privilege. Catherine's work on childhood development and mental health resonated deeply, especially with parents and educators who saw genuine commitment rather than performative charity.
Since becoming a member of the royal family in 2011, the Duchess of Cambridge has become the patron of charities and organisations close to her heart.
Camilla's position, by contrast, grew increasingly difficult. The leaked comments about Diana had done enormous damage, but even beyond that, her defense of the old system felt out of touch. Arguments about preserving tradition and protecting ceremonial roles didn't resonate with a population dealing with economic uncertainty and demanding accountability from all institutions, including the monarchy. International reaction added another layer of complexity. Former colonies and Commonwealth nations that had grown skeptical of royal relevance watched William's reforms with cautious optimism. Jamaica, Barbados, and other countries that had recently distanced themselves from the crown issued statements acknowledging the refreshing sincerity of the new direction. For the first time in decades, the monarchy seemed to be listening rather than merely presiding. The press coverage reflected this shift. Conservative newspapers that typically defended royal tradition found themselves praising William's pragmatism. Progressive outlets that had long called for abolishing the monarchy admitted the reforms represented meaningful progress. Columnists debated whether the Windsor Reset could actually save the institution or merely postpone its inevitable decline. But even the skeptics acknowledged something significant was happening. One moment in particular captured the public imagination. William visited a community garden in Manchester, sitting cross-legged among a group of schoolchildren. Without scripts or handlers hovering nearby, he asked them a simple question. If you were king or queen, what would you change first? The children's answers, more parks, help for homeless people, saving animals, making sure everyone has enough food, were innocent and heartfelt. William listened intently, nodding, occasionally asking follow-up questions. The video went viral instantly. It wasn't polished or produced. It was genuine. Here was the future king, not lecturing or performing, but listening, learning, treating children's ideas with respect and seriousness. The contrast with traditional royal behavior couldn't have been starker, and people responded with overwhelming emotion. This was the monarchy they wanted: accessible, humble, focused on people rather than protocol. The final transformation. As spring 2026 approached, attention turned to the upcoming coronation ceremony. Traditionally, such events were exercises in elaborate pageantry crowns, robes, ancient rituals performed precisely as they had been for centuries. William had different ideas. The coronation would not simply crown a future king, it would symbolize the rebirth of the monarchy itself. The planning process broke every convention. For the first time in British history, public consultations were held to gather input on how the ceremony should unfold. Community leaders, NHS workers, teachers, environmental activists, and ordinary citizens were invited to share their thoughts. The message was revolutionary. This coronation belonged to the people, not just the palace. William commissioned a new crown for the ceremony, one that would honor both history and the future. Rather than simply using the ancient St. Edward's crown, he worked with artisans to create something unprecedented. Rare Welsh gold formed its base. Ethical gemstones from Commonwealth nations adorned its structure. And most movingly, repurposed jewels from Diana's personal collection were incorporated into the design. The diamond from Diana's engagement ring, the same ring Catherine now wore, would be embedded within the crown's cross.
So there you have it, a range of sizes and prices, all inspired by Kate's sophisticated sapphire engagement ring. The choice is in your hands.
When this detail was announced, the emotional response was overwhelming. People wept openly. Diana, who had died almost 3 decades earlier, would be present at her son's coronation in the most intimate way possible. The symbolism was perfect. Past and future united, tradition and innovation merged, a mother's love made eternal. Catherine played a central role in the crown's design, consulting with female artisans and historians to ensure it represented not just royal authority, but unity, resilience, and compassion. Every element carried meaning. Every choice reflected the values the new monarchy would embody. Meanwhile, the restructuring of working royals was finalized. Only 6 would remain on the official payroll, each with clearly defined duties and transparent accountability. William, Catherine, Anne, Edward, Sophie, and the Duke of Kent, in an advisory capacity, would form the core team. Prince George, though still young, began constitutional education designed to prepare him not just to wear a crown someday, but to understand why it matters. Camilla's isolation became complete. Her objections to the coronation plans, her continued defense of the old ways, her attempts to rally support among traditionalists, all of it fell flat. The momentum had shifted completely. Even King Charles, though remaining publicly silent due to his health, privately signaled his acceptance of William's direction. The future had arrived, and there was no going back. The final televised address before the coronation date announcement showed William alone at Balmoral, standing in the hills where his grandmother had once walked with him as a child. His words were simple but powerful. This is not a new chapter. It is the fulfillment of the promise she made. I am only a caretaker of what she protected and what my mother taught me to treasure. People above all else. The House of Windsor stands at a crossroads unlike any it has faced in modern history. Prince William's bold initiative, known as the Windsor Reset, isn't merely about policy reforms or trimming the royal budget. It's a profound reimagining of what the monarchy stands for in the 21st century. By blending Queen Elizabeth's unwavering discipline with Princess Diana's boundless compassion, William is forging something entirely new, something neither of them could have accomplished alone. A monarchy that doesn't just rule from gilded halls, but truly serves its people with purpose, humility, and transparency. Queen Camilla's resistance, once considered formidable, has steadily crumbled under the combined force of public sentiment and William's quiet, yet unshakable resolve. For years, the monarchy struggled between duty and emotion, between image and integrity, but now that battle for its very soul seems to have found its victor. The people have spoken, and their hearts belong to William, the modern heir who dares to challenge centuries of convention. Yet this story is far from over. What role will young Prince George play as he grows within this transformed royal system? Can he uphold his father's vision without losing the mystique of the crown? Will the upcoming coronation ceremony truly deliver on its promise to redefine royal tradition for a new age? And most importantly, can this fresh, service-driven model of monarchy preserve the Windsor legacy for generations yet unborn? The world now watches in breathless silence. Will this new crown rise as a beacon of hope or shatter under the weight of its own power? Perhaps the next decree won't just mark another chapter of history, but the dawn of a new era. So stay with us, hit that subscribe button, and witness the moment when the crown shines not by fate, but by character. This isn't just a royal transition, it's the ultimate test of power, honor, and truth.